to break me, talk me down and denigrate me. You can try to silence every word, but I will not be leaving quietly. No, I won't leave, I won't leave, yeah, I will not be leaving quietly. You can mock me, try to outsmart me, you can shame me, try to blame me, do your best to shut me, but I will not be leaving quietly. No, I won't leave, I won't leave, yeah, I will not be leaving quietly. Scare me, attempt to control me, bear me and censor me, label and train me. You can push me, try to kick me out, but I will not be leaving quietly. No, I won't leave, I won't leave, yeah, I will not be leaving quietly. You can mute me, strike and dispute me, dumb down the rest, yeah, but I'll keep refusing. You can pretend you've seen the last of me, but I will not be leaving quietly. No, I won't leave, I won't leave, yeah, I will not be leaving quietly.
Thank you. We got Jessica Fott up here. Thank you.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our lands glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
All right, Jessica Fott, give it up. Give it up for Canada.
And Alan's going to lead a chant quickly, and then we're going to have Victor Green come up to speak.
It's so wonderful to see so many people who value freedom. I want to read a quick Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 16 and 13, it says, be on your guard. Or have we heard that before? Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be men of courage, be strong. This is the embodiment of the Canadian way. Be on guard for thee, be strong, be courageous. And so before Victor Green comes and speaks, I want us all to chant a chant so that our good friends in the United States can hear us. And the chant is this: we stand free. So as loud as you can, with as much courage and firmness and Canadian grit. Because look, if we don't let our kids play hockey, Sweden is going to destroy us at the Olympics. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? So we need them to hear too, because we want to beat them in the gold medal game still. So let's go. We stand free. 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 We stand free.
Wow, look at that. Right? Before I start, I just got a quick question for everybody. Did anybody's parents or grandparents or great-grandparents fight in the war? Yeah? Anybody? Yeah? Just remind everybody, what is it they went off and fought for?
Freedom!
Sorry, I missed that. Can you say that again? Freedom! Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what they fought for. They fought for freedom, and you know, my dad did too. My dad was a gentle musician, studying music at Balliol College in Oxford, in London, when the war broke out. And they quickly, the recruiting sergeant quickly realised that he wasn't a roughy-toughy soldier, he was a gentle musician, so they put him as a truck driver in the Royal Army Service Corps. And he was having a wonderful time in Singapore with his regiment when the Japanese came in the back door through Burma and Singapore fell. Fortress Singapore. My poor old dad spent 3.5 years as a prisoner of war of the Japanese, building the Death Railway, the Burma-Siam Railway, where so many Allied soldiers, sailors and airmen were massacred and brutally tortured. My dad was £70 when he got back to the UK. And I like to say to everybody, firstly, that the peace-loving people of Japan today bear no resemblance to the brutal, sadistic Japanese soldiers of World War II. So we can't hold the current Japanese people responsible in any way, shape or form. But my dad, basically, my dad was a slave. And I like to think that I'm first generation slavery right here. Much has been said about COVID during this 5 weeks campaign, and I have to tell you, it's the elephant in the room, and there's so much more to the PPC platform than just COVID. And so what I got to say about COVID, I want to keep really brief, because it's all been said before. Firstly, the People's Party of Canada, we believe that it is your body and it's your choice whether you're going to get vaccinated or not. And so never let it be said by anybody that this party is anti-vax or anti-mask. We are not. You can wear 1 mask, 2 masks, 5 masks, whatever you want to do. If you want to get vaccinated, it makes you feel more comfortable or secure, or if you want to wear a mask and that makes you feel more secure, then you should have the dominion over your own body to make your own decisions. There's enough stuff out there.
There's enough information on the internet for you to make an informed decision. And then, having had the freedom to make your own decision, the second part of what we believe in is confidentiality. It's got nothing to do with anyone other than you and your doctor. It's got nothing to do with your boss. It's got nothing to do with your government. It's got nothing to do with the maitre d' at a restaurant. And it's got nothing to do with the guy that's going to sell you a train ticket. It's confidential. And the third and final thing I'll say about vaccinations, and that is, it should be non-discriminatory when you've made your decision. Far too long, the media have been telling us that if you get vaccinated, you're some kind of way invulnerable from COVID, and we know that is not the case. We're very much more clever now than we were 17 months ago when this started. We know well that if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you've got just as much chance of contracting COVID and passing it on. And so therefore, it was with great pleasure when I heard Maxime Bernier say the very first thing he's going to do is defund the CBC. Because of all the media, they are the worst at propagating this myth that you are somehow safe if you've had 2 jabs, because we know that you're not. I will say that I admit that if you get vaccinated, then perhaps your symptoms will be less. And so therefore there is some benefit. But I'm also very pleased to say, which is a glimmer of hope for the future, that Dr. Dennis Rancourt, who perhaps most people have never heard of, but he is, in actual fact, the Ontario Commission for Civil Liberties, suggests that there are 29% of people now that are unvaccinated. 29%. Now that differs. That differs from the government figures, but who do you believe? Who are you going to believe? Make your own mind up. Dr. Dennis Rancourt says 29%, and he also goes on to say there is 14% of people that have had the first jab and are not having the second one. And so therefore, there are 43% of the people out there that are not going to qualify for a vaccine passport. Now, we know, and this is my message to all business owners, we know how tough business is. We know how tough it is to survive when you've got access to 100% of the community. But now we're taking 43% out of your buying public away. Good luck on surviving if you're going to discriminate in your customers.
Amen.
We also know there is a glimmer of hope for the future for sub-unit protein vax, which is 3 new vaxes which are plant-based. And maybe these might be the answer to a maiden's prayer. And they're supposed to be being launched in the 3rd quarter of this year, which means any moment now. And let me tell you their names. This might be the first time that you hear these names. There is Novavax, there is Sanofi, and there is Medicago. Plant-based, sub-unit, protein vaccinations. But let me ask you this. If Trudeau is still in government next week, do you think he's going to use them or recommend them? No, of course he's not, because he spent billions on Pfizer and Moderna. So he's hardly likely to recommend anything new. We at the People's Party of Canada are going to investigate all things. We've got great scientists, we've got great laboratories. Let's put them to work. Looking at all the alternatives, all the cures, all the vaccines, everything's around there, including vitamin D, including all the ones that you know and you've heard of and that I've heard of too. All of them have got to go under the microscope and be examined. moving on there from COVID, which is starting to sound a little like a worn-out record. I want to go on to the economy. You know we're $1.3 trillion in debt. Were you aware of that? That is one hell of a lot of money. And our debt ratio is increasing every year by $75.9 million. Sorry, a day. Every day. $75.9 million on our debt load. Every newborn baby in this country owes the government $26,500. The government is printing money at the rate of 345% of GDP, and that's unsustainable. It's oversupply in the money cycle. And you know, we here in Windsor, Tecumseh, in a small bubble type of arrangement, we've seen all this before. Because when the big three negotiated pay rises, and they all got a pay rise, what happened to all our prices here locally? They all went up. And I always remember saying, why are the prices going up for me? I don't even work in the big three. And that's because they all got a pay rise and there was more money supply locally, so the prices went up. Now the rest of Canada is seeing exactly the same thing. The money supply is going up and so are prices. And I would say to the fellas, $50 for a 2-4 at the beer store. What is that all about? Whoever does the grocery shopping in your families, how much more is your grocery cart now when you fill it up? This, make no mistake about it, this is a sneaky tax that's happening on you right now. And if you've got savings in the bank and you've got money in a GIC, a 1-year GIC, which currently pays 0.25%, inflation has just now peaked at a 20-year high. That was yesterday, at just over 4%. What that means is your savings is being devalued 16 times faster than it's growing. So every morning when you wake up, you're poorer than when you went to bed. And you know who's to blame for that one. Excuse me, little liquid refreshment. I want to talk a little bit about spending, because you know, we've heard the Liberals talk about how much money they're going to bring to this economy, this local area, this local region. But I want to talk a little bit about how much money we've been spending right now. Did you know there are $20 billion is being spent on foreign aid? Right now, your tax dollars are going overseas, probably to countries that are no longer third world countries and that don't really need it. But I think what Trudeau's trying to do is trying to make lots of friends around the world because he hasn't got too many right here at home. And then what we've got another $10 billion in corporate welfare, keeping companies afloat that can't stand on their own 2 feet. Corporate welfare is what it's called. That's 10 billion. And then we got 5 billion in overseas development aid, of which a quarter of that money has to be spent in foreign countries, helping them with their climate change. And then on top of that, we got $1 billion a year going to the CBC. And then there are other incidentals which come up to 26 billion, which are too numerous to mention. So add all that little lot up and we're very close to $50 billion a year. So before we start talking about how much money we're going to bring into this region, let me tell you what the PPC is going to do. We're going to stop sending money to other regions of the world. And we, make no mistake about it, this is our mandate and this is our passion. We're going to put Canadians first. That money staying here is going to you. Now, Eric Kizmerchik, by the way, has anybody seen him here today? Has anybody seen Eric? Has anybody seen Chris, what's his name, Chris Lewis? Has anybody seen Brian Massey here? Are any of them here? Why do you think that they're not here? Well, because they're haters of freedom. And they want you locked down and under the thumb is what they want. I'm here because I'm a lover of freedom and I want you guys to be free. Now, our friend, Eirik Kazmierczak, says and boasts that he's brought $450 million to this region. Has anybody seen any of that money? You know, we got the highest unemployment rate in the whole of Canada. We got 11.5%. Where did the $450 million go then, Eirik? Because we're not seeing any benefit of it. What we are seeing is people laid off in the plants, and we're seeing the highest unemployment rate in Canada. So don't talk to us about how much money you spent here until such times as it does us some benefit. We got $450 million, he says he's going to be spending on affordable housing. Well, you know, housing is all about supply and demand. If you got too much demand and not enough supply, the housing is going to go up. Let me tell you what we're going to do. If you want to buy a house or a property or land in this country, you better not be a foreign corporation, because you're not going to be allowed to do it. If you want to buy a house in this country, you better have a Canadian passport, or you better be a permanent resident. Because, you know, we're absolutely committed to putting Canadians first. I need to bring this in for a landing, but they are so much in debt, and they are so desperate. They're coming after your savings. They're coming after the equity in your home. Capital gains tax. They're coming after your guns. If you're a gun owner, a lot of gun owners, 3.5 million in the country. Some of these guns, there's a man there, some of these guns have been handed down from people's grandfathers. They're worth thousands of dollars, and they're coming for them and take them away. Okay? So, my time on the mic is done. I could stand here for an hour and talk to you, but I want to bring this in for a landing, and I want to tell you this, and that is that if you imagine that there are 4 parties in this race, there aren't. There is really only 2, because on the one hand, you've got the Liberals, you've got the Conservatives, and you've got the NDP, and their platforms, with the 1 or 2 subtle differences, are all the same. Heavy lockdowns, misery, and a hard, bleak winter, probably maybe even confined to our own homes. Who knows what these people have got in store? On the one hand, that's what you got. And on the other hand, you got the People's Party of Canada that want you to be free. And so I say to all the businesses, open your doors and don't discriminate, and we will see you all right. We'll come and spend money with you. And my last word is this. When this rally is over and the march is over, on Monday, when you're in that privacy of that polling booth, I want you to look. I want you to look for your pen, I want you to look for your ballot, and then I want you to look in your heart and make the right choice on that ballot paper.
First of all, so I'm Matthew Jankola, and I'm the People's Party candidate for Windsor West. And I'm very proud to be here among your fellowship as we protest against the mandatory vaccines and passports in the workplace, putting ourselves at risk of losing our jobs, of our bank accounts suffering, of losing our homes. There are many injustices that have been put in our way because of the threats of COVID-19. But we cannot allow this to continue. We are the only party that has a strong stance against this, against mandatory vaccines, against lockdowns. This community has suffered far too much and for far too long by our government's oppression of the very people who have been the backbone of this country for centuries. Thank you. So, the People's Party does have those strong stances against our lockdowns, against our mandatory vaccines. We don't want the internet censorship. We don't want to silence Canadians. Freedom of speech is an integral freedom that must be protected. You look across the world, you see societies and cultures all around, and freedom is essential to the progress of civilization. Silencing voices has never been an option that has led to progress and prosperity. Even right here in the West, we have learned through history that silencing minorities, silencing the voices that are different, including our voices today, is wrong. It does not lead to progress, it leads to regress. If we want to protect democracy, we need to protect our rights and freedoms. We need to protect our Constitution. You know, I listened to that national anthem that was sung earlier, and I questioned our government's commitment to that national anthem. Oh Canada, our home and native land. Does our government treat this like a home? Does it show the protection that we would expect of our government, of our home? True patriot love. Does our government show that? With glowing hearts, we receive thy light, the true north strong and free. I feel that these words may be contested in the future, knowing that our government does not respect the commitment that Canadians have done in the past to protect our rights and freedoms. Where is the free in true north strong and free with how we are being treated all across the country? Our very principles, the land that we are standing on right now, where this park was created out of respect for freedom, and it must be defended. And there's no more important time than now to show our frustration to the government by taking a stance. Every few years we get an opportunity to fire them, to put them out of work for not representing us, by going to the ballots and putting in our voice by voting. It is the only opportunity, is the only thing that really it seems that they care about, is an opportunity to stay in office. But then once in office, this is what's going on. We're being silenced. And we're being put out of work. We're being pressured to get vaccines, to put chemicals in our bodies. I question our government's commitment to our national anthem and to our principles of this country. And I'm sure we can all agree. So keeping in mind these things that the People's Party stands for, protecting our right to peaceful assembly, protecting our rights to refuse medical treatment, our medical privacy, our freedom of speech. So to conclude, People's Party now has an opportunity, and your votes have a big impact in putting us in office so that we can represent you properly and your voice and protect the principles of this country. No mandatory vaccines, no more lockdowns. No carbon taxes. No Paris Accord initiatives where we are bearing the responsibility of other countries' pollution and disrespect for the environment. It is not our responsibility. Canada is very neutral when it comes to our emissions. In 2019, we are less than 2% global emissions. China, on the other hand, at 27%. And we are the ones flipping the bill for their pollution and the pollution of many other countries. Talk about fairness, huh? I don't see it. And our bank accounts, as Victor said, we're at a risk of severe debt, and we're gonna have to pay for it. So no, carbon tax is not the solution. We need to protect our wallets. Keep the government out of it. If we are not the ones who are causing this destruction, we should not be the ones who have to pay the price. It's making it more expensive for us, for investors, for companies, for small businesses and large. It's not working. And lastly, we need to budget we need to balance, and we need to put an end to budget deficits. If we are to be a prosperous country, we cannot have budget deficits. We cannot be in debt. It doesn't take a genius to know that if you are in debt, it's very hard for you to be wealthy and prosperous. And by making the changes that Victor said in the earlier speech, we can accumulate the wealth that we need and reinvest it right here at home, so that we can go back to a higher quality of life and go beyond it, because we deserve it. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak and to represent you at this upcoming election. Vote. No one is watching over your shoulder, and I want you to tell other people as well. This is your vote. Vote with your heart. Vote with what is right. And with the pen, of course, put a nice X in the circle, and you got to do it nice and neatly, because if that pencil mark isn't nice, they're not going to count it. And we know that given the stigma against the people you see, many people have misunderstood what we represent. They'll be looking for any opportunity to deny our freedom, and we're not going to allow it. We are a silent majority. We are a silent majority. I want to say that again. But on the ballot, when nobody is watching, when nobody is nagging or pressuring people on their own political opinions, when people have a choice to choose what they believe is right for themselves and the country, they will vote PPC, People's Party of Canada. I'd like to also encourage all of you to just spread the word through your conversations, through your social media pages, and just let people know that there is an alternative to the three big parties that have done very little for our community. And when I look back on the years, I actually only see it getting worse. So we need to remind people of this reality, and also remind them that there have been 2 members of parliament in Windsor West in the last 60 years. Herb Gray for the Liberals, Brian Massey for the NDP. Conservatives have not been represented during that time, during all those decades. And people question if there's a vote split. There is not going to be a vote split if your team has been losing for 60 years. In fact, we have gained support, lots of support. We are level with the other parties. We have shown people the truth about how their parties have misrepresented them, and how there is the alternative to the People's Party. And bit by bit, people have been coming over onto our side, from the Liberal supporters, the NDP supporters, and the Conservative supporters. And now we are a level playing field. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come here to stand up for freedom. I could hear that all day because it's so important. And thank you for your support. This campaign, you supporters have been the driving force behind it, and I can't thank you enough. This campaign has been a grassroots campaign. It started off as a David and Goliath battle, but we are level now. And it couldn't have happened at a better time right before the election. On government called a snap election, assuming, very arrogantly assuming, that it would be an easy win for them to secure more years in office, and that we would support the poor decisions, support all the negativity that we've had to go through over the last year with these COVID measures, that we would support it, that we would beg for more. Absolutely not. And it will backfire for them because PPC is going to be in the government. That is the price that they pay for having called an election under such arrogance, not understanding the actual feelings, the actual lives, what the people go through. And that is where the People's Party comes in. And we are stronger than ever, and the timing couldn't be better. So thank you for your support. The election on Monday, September 20, is a big one. Every vote counts. And we have the silent majority, we have the support. And I want to thank you all for standing up for our rights and freedoms. We as the People's Party are there for you, and thank you for being there for us. I'm Matthew Chancola, the PPC candidate Windsor West, and let's go get this change.
Thank you so much, Matt. Let's get another cheer for Matt Giancola.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oh man, it's nice to see so many people here. So many awake people. Usually I speak about vaccines, but today I want to focus on something a little bit more imminent. I mean, that is imminent, of course, but the vote. Time's running out, and we need to vote. This may be the most important vote of our entire lives. Before, you could strategize, whatever, but this time we got to get it right. We got to get people in who are going to support us. There are a lot of lies going out right now, a lot of them aimed at us, aimed at the awake people. And these are lies such as, don't go out and vote because you don't want to be considered part of the establishment. And voting means you're part of the establishment. Well, who's that argument going to appeal to? Who is it aimed at? It's aimed at people who are awake who know there's something wrong with the establishment. So we've got to disregard messages like that. They're trying to make you feel impotent. Like, your vote's not going to make a difference anyway, so I might as well just sit on the couch and not bother getting up. What a lie. That's a huge lie. We have to vote. And a lot of people are talking about voting strategy. And I know, I've done this before, but it doesn't apply right now. This is too important. We can't go, oh, well, gee, we don't want the Liberals in, so we're going to put the PCs in. But we've got to look at what they're promising in their campaign promises. The Liberals, the PCs, the NDP, the Green, they're promising to continue these mandates, to continue taking our rights away, to continue with the vaccine passports. When they say, we're going to promise you this, believe them. I think this is the one time we can believe their campaign promises. But we have somebody very different. We have different people who have not been bought out by the NWO. We have the PPC. They are promising to uphold our freedom. They're the only ones that are. So instead of going, gee, I don't want to split my vote, I want to strategize, that's a big mistake, because if we don't put the PPC in, we are putting in one devil instead of another.
That's right. That's right.
There's something specific about the PPC that I really want to address. There has been, in every time an election comes up, there are smear campaigns, right? Well, a smear campaign that was funded in 2019 against the PPC has been resurfacing. And what this is people are saying, oh no, don't vote for them because they're associated with Soros and the New World Order and things like this. Let me tell you where that came from. That came from a lawyer, Toronto lawyer, Warren Kinsella, who owns Daisy Political Campaigning, or Consulting rather, and they do political campaign strategies. They were given $110,000 to smear the PPC and to take our confidence away. So I just want to let you know where that came from. It's not true, and it's in court right now. And I am very looking forward to justice being done here.
Yeah, let's get the right judge.
There's something else that we need to understand. This is not the same election as in the United States that is still in controversy, still being investigated. We sold them the Dominion machines, but we don't use them. Absolutely, thank God. What happens here is the ballots are all counted by hand, and as Curry mentioned earlier, there are scrutinizers there, and they are witnessing the ballots being counted. So you're one, excellent. So there's still a little bit of time. If you would like to do this, make sure things are coming up properly and you've got the time. The way you can do it, I just asked Victor Green about if it was too late to apply, and he said no. If you go on the PPC Windsor Essex Tecumseh website on Facebook, on Facebook page, scroll down, because Victor actually has a post on how to do this and a link. And as long as you're sort of verified by one of the candidates, you're good to go. So please, if you've got time to do it, we need awake people watching this to make sure that the process is done properly and honestly. And the last thing I'm going to say is, really seriously, look at the only party that's supporting us and supporting our freedom and wants us to retain Canada as we know it. And that is the PPC. That is Victor Green for Windsor East and Tecumseh, Matt Giacola for Windsor West, and Beth Sharon for Essex. Let's get our freedom back, everybody.
Thank you so much, Kat. And Kat's book is available over at the tent. She's got a red book on vaccination. If you go say hi to her, you can take a look at the book with her over there. Next up, we have Sarah. Sarah is a local teacher. Sarah, you might remember Sarah was speaking, I think, when Chris Guy was coming down the ramp or just before it. We got a lot of cheers going last time. Here we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah and I'm an elementary school teacher, and I just wanted to let you know what's been going on the past couple weeks. But prior to that, a little history lesson. So my oldest daughter, who's almost 21, said to me, you know what, Mom, you're just gonna have to face the consequences of your choice. And you cannot compare this to what happened to the Jewish people during World War II. And I'm sure you've all heard that, the so-called woke people. How dare you compare this to World War II and what the Jewish people were forced to face? I'm like, I can damn well compare the two, because it's the exact same thing. I can say, as a history major, I recall studying that the Jewish people were given a choice to leave their homes and their homeland before the tyranny would come down on them. Well, if I was living during that time, I'd be like, hell no, this is my home, this is my land, my family's been here for generations, I'm gonna stay here. And they had every right to say that. Some actually believed in the threat and tried to leave their homelands. They came to North America on a boat only to be rejected and told to go back. So, was it their fault to face the consequences of their choices? I don't think so. And now they're telling us it's not the same thing, that we need to face the consequences of our choices. I'm sorry, but my basic human rights is not a choice. They are rights. No one's going to tell me what should be put into my body so that I can keep going to work. I love my job. My students, when I'm there, for me, are my kids. And all this week I kept thinking, how long am I going to be here? How long before they let me go because I refuse to take that jab? I'm not alone. All 4 boards in Windsor, Essex County, we've bonded together. Public school, Catholic schools, and the French public Catholic. We have formed a fighting front. Yes. But we can't do this without you. We need people to call the school boards and say, enough. Even if it's not for us, for your children and grandchildren. These little kids are masked at school. Not every school has air conditioning. They can't breathe. They sneeze in their masks. Their masks are disgusting. I'm constantly telling them to change their masks because it's like you could see the moisture just seeping through their cloth masks. How is that healthy?
That's right.
It is child abuse. And then the constant hand sanitation. That stuff's not safe, and I don't want to claim this, but don't be surprised if there's going to be a rise in leukemia and lymphoma in our children down the road because of the constant hand washing through hand sanitizers that's just filled with chemicals that are dangerous to them.
That's right.
And I know this for a fact because my son's oncologist told me that and didn't want him using hand sanitizer. So all I'm asking is that we're not, I know a lot of people have their opinions about teachers. We're not all like that. I've had many requests to quit my job and to teach other people's children privately. I'm that close to doing it. But I also believe that the children that are in the public system need me. And they need others like me who are keeping an eye on them. Thank you. It's not just me, there's hundreds of us. I couldn't believe how many, not just teachers, EAs, ECEs, school secretaries, custodians, bus drivers. We're all in this. We're all part of the education field. Buses. Oh, I've got a story about buses. The buses at our school are constantly late. There's no bus drivers. Why? Because the bus drivers are not going to be coerced into taking shit that's bad for them.
That's right.
So our kids are waiting 10, 15, 20 minutes for their bus just to go home. But you know what? I stand behind those bus drivers. And I know they don't want to take it out on our children. But we've got to fight this, guys. Enough is enough. We need to keep fighting and our voices need to be heard. Thank you.
We stand free! Fight for freedom! Fight for freedom! Fight for freedom! We stand free! 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 We just need to go for a little bit so everyone can take up. We stand free! We stand free! We stand free! Work is a right!
Dumb down the
Work is
rest.
a right!
I'll kill
Work
if
is
you
a right!
them. You
It's
can't
a right!
pretend you've
Work
seen the
is
last
a
of
right!
me.
Work is a
I
right!
will not be leaving quietly.
Fight for We're facing years in jail right now for the crime of arrested. I hate coming. Your co-workers presented them to me.
Dumb down the rest, yeah. Can't refuse it. You can't pretend you've seen the last of me. I will not be quietly, no.
Support first responders! Support first responders! Support first responders! Find the health unit! Find the health unit! Fuck Trudeau! 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 Turn it up for Jesus! 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 Woo! Leave our kids alone! Kids alone! Leave our 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 kids alone!
To silence anyone, I will not be quietly, no. 10 years, it lasted